So, what can I do for you?
Well, basically, my name's Billy Watson. I work on behalf of a website called Comedy Chords, and I believe you're doing a gig next. Is it this Thursday at where is it, Leicester Square?
Oh, Matt Ricardo's
Yeah, Matt
place.
Ricardo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, the guy that runs that website just says, they've got an opportunity to interview yourself, and you're performing there, and so it's to give that a little plug, and the rest of it we just have a chit chat and
Whatever.
about your career.
Yeah. I think Matt's doing a great job there. You know, he really is. And you can watch the shows on the internet, which is weird because I don't think I want all my material going out on the internet, you know.
Right. So that's like a lot of
There'd be,
comedians.
I mean, come on, there'd be fellas doing it in Turkey.
I don't. Well, I've seen you levitate today. I don't know how I could watch that and then make myself do that. So,
Well,
yeah. I mean, so it's going to be live. Does it get live streamed? Is that what you're saying? That show?
no, he records it. He
Records
does
it.
it very well. I've watched a couple of the guys he's had on it, and he's very good himself. He really is.
So he's one of these. Is he a magician or one of these mentalists that are
Juggler.
a juggler?
He's a
Right?
juggler.
Okay.
Yeah. But most jugglers dabble in magic stuff and all that, you know. I mean, I've got an online store. We've got over 4,000 tricks on it. And you'll find jugglers, children's entertainers, everybody gets on there and buys stuff. Mentalists, you know.
Yeah. I had a look
They
at
all
that.
interact.
I had a look at that online shop today. It was quite good fun, yeah. So do you take an active role in that? Do you hands-on business?
Well, you know, I don't know if he's been around a while as Matt. He's got a great range of stuff. And yeah, I like the guy.
Yeah, but with regard to your store, I was just wondering how much of an active role you played in that.
You'll have to speak slowly. This line is crackly as hell.
Okay. Plus, I speak fast, being Scottish, yeah.
Well, do you do subtitles?
Not over the phone,
That's
unfortunately.
Hey, why don't you make an app that does subtitles? That'd be great.
I bought your app today. You got a magic trick app, yeah?
Oh yeah, the calculator.
Yeah. Did you have much involvement with the setup of that?
Oh yeah. What happens is, for some weird reason, my head is an ideas machine, and so when a guy turns up, businesses come to me and shows come to me and they say, we'd like, what do you think about this? And my head sometimes goes sideways and I say, oh, it would be a much better idea if we did this, we did this, we did this, we did this. And then they go off and build it or create it, whatever. Sometimes if it's physical stuff, I build it myself in the workshops. But, so I did all the special effects for Phantom of the Opera, for example, and advised on cats and stuff like that. And then, in this case, this guy came to me and he plays around with apps all the time and he wanted to put out a magical app. And I said, well, why are you thinking in such a narrow way? Why don't you open it up so they give you a greater range of stuff? And he took all my ideas down and went off and wrote it.
All right. But I mean, in that particular trick, it's just the trick with the number, yeah? I'm guessing you've already got the word set up and you force it.
No, you can do a lot more with it. There's a lot of you can do pictures with it. You can have it on the table and mix it in with real physical objects, and all that. Yeah, it's like most magic tricks. If you just buy it and just do it out of the box, you really are missing most of the potential.
Okay, well that's interesting. I've not had time to investigate it yet. I bought it. My son is, interested in magic, as most children about 8 years old are, And
get him a psychiatrist.
Well, having me as a father, he probably needs one. So, yeah, my son, we watched that Dynamo. Oh, he's quite into him. What do you think of Dynamo? Because he says how much he loves you, basically. Dynamo, yeah?
Yeah, I spat between Dynamo and David Blaine at a bash last year. Really weird. And again, you see, I think the problem with these guys like Dynamo, who I like, I think he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is their field of interest in magic is too narrow. He is a phenomenal juggler of cards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But all the kids, because the dealers fed them this stuff, it's much easier to do close-up magic than walk onto a stage.
Mm.
So they focus everything on close-up magic because then they can sell more. And so the close-up magic guys, they think they're being wonderful and marvelous and fabulous. But if you walk them onto a stage or into a television studio, they're very limited and they have to be edited and they have to use stooges. And this really gets up my nose because there's no need for it if you know your job properly,
All right. Well, some of the tricks that Dynamo was doing was, pretty mind-blowing, I thought. But you think it's a different art to what you do, is going on stage and entertaining people, for an hour and a half or whatever.
Well, you see, one of the rules I had was I would never, ever do anything on television that I couldn't do live.
Okay.
And now I'm seeing magicians left, right, and centre getting onto TV, and I know, because I know my business, they can't do it live.
All right.
And that's really, for me, it's sad because I know of a couple of guys who have gone out there, been on TV, and somebody said, do the one with the whatever, the mobile phone you do, and they can't. It's a bit embarrassing.
So
yeah.
I'm just wondering what's stopping them doing it then. If they can do it, in front of a TV camera in that situation, I mean, what's stopping them doing it live? You obviously know.
Well, because the live is a different thing. A camera's only got one eye.
Right.
It looks exactly in one direction.
Uh-huh.
The human being, and certainly when you've got a lot of human beings around you, are all looking at it from different angles, different things. It's a completely different form of theatre.
Right. Uh-huh.
And then you add into that the fact, and it is a fact, that they're using stooges, people who are actors paid to do it,
Okay.
and you can't do that with just anybody.
Uh-huh.
So it drives me nuts, but there we are. Now to do with me, I'm making a living. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So if we could just maybe take things back a bit then, just I'm curious, how I know a little bit, but how did you get started in magic, and where did the passion come from, and how did you develop from just, playing a few card tricks to your friends to developing a stage act?
Well, I do these, and nowadays I do these magic days where I teach people,
yeah.
and I teach the route I came through magic, because I read the magic book and I did a trick, and for some reason, you never know, you get picked to be a plumber, do you? In your life, you just become a plumber. I always wanted to be a magic guy, and so. But what happened with me was I was a member of the Middlesbrough Circle of Magicians, and we had this fabulous competition that ran for 6 months, and you had to perform with liquid or with balls or with silks or with illusions or mental magic. You learned the whole gamut of magic, the full spectrum, and it was no good me just to win it, which thankfully I did several times. It was no good just doing the tricks as they came out of the book or the box, because the lads all knew that. So I started to twist them, and can it be bigger, can it be smaller, can it be done backwards, and I just don't do magic the same way the other guys do it, I guess. So I tried to teach them, and then I learned how to add the comedy in, because I was a very shy kid. And so I came up with this system for becoming a scriptwriter, if you like. but an ad lib script writer, I just do it up, I just wing it. I've never had a script. All the TV shows I did never had a script.
Okay. So
I just talk funny.
Yeah, and then sometimes you'll say something that gets a laugh, so you'll throw that in the next time. I believe that's how your your catchphrase, "You like this not a lot," came about. Yeah.
You're off like a rocket again and crackling. Hello.
Hello.
What did you just say?
I was saying, sometimes you'll say something on stage and get a laugh, and then you'll use that the next time. Maybe you'll have a set things like a comedian has in his mind to come out with at the right time.
Yeah, but I don't know why it is. Well, I know how it developed. I know how I built it up and how I used to do a lot of writing down. Now I just think funny. So, last night night before last, I walked on stage and went knock knock, and the whole audience, who's there? And I said Maggie. And they all shouted, Maggie who? And I just sighed and said, how soon you forget. Now, on the way onto the stage, I had no idea I was going to say that. It just came.
Just popped up. Just through years of being on stage and getting comfortable enough to listen to your own thoughts.
I'm very at home on stage. I'm very at home on stage. I have a friend who was a director of a theatre in the Ukraine, in Kiev, and he said, I love to watch you. It's like watching a fish in the water. And I am. I don't have any fears up there. I don't get stage fright. As part of the magic days that I teach people how to get over, totally ignore stage fright. Yeah.
Okay. So you do that basically every month or something. You invite 10 people to your house, and I
do. Well, it's not a fixed schedule. I put them up on the website and say the magic dates, and these are the days I'm going to be at home doing them. So that's it. Yeah.
And people can ask you anything about your magic, and will you give will you explain how it's done? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what, most magicians, you'll show a trick and most people say, well, how do you do that? Then they say, well, you have to be a magician to find out or something. But you're quite open.
Yeah, well, these guys, nobody's going to pay that money just out of curiosity. The vast majority of the magicians that come are professional magicians.
Right.
Who just want to get better and want to be better at the business of magic. A lot of people think of show business as, oh man, I'm in the show. But my attitude is it's a business. So I'm much more show business orientated. And I find better ways to do stuff. I'm always looking for better ways to do stuff.
So do you actually do you read, other people's magic tricks and then develop them these days, or do you just totally dream up your own stuff from scratch now?
It's a real mixture of everything. I mean, I just come off a cruise ship, and on there, I was testing out a couple of ideas for the autumn tour. They went very well, and these are, I don't perform mentalism whereby I am a serious person, I'm going into your mind and I'm going to drag out the word, whatever. Yeah. If you could really read minds, you wouldn't be like that, would you? You just say, I don't know why you're thinking of that, So I'm very light with mentalism. And I turned one of the little tiny routines that I got from another guy's lecture, and now it's a major feature in the show. It's become a really big piece. That's what I meant about thinking, can it be bigger, smaller, lighter? But it's fabulously funny. It's really good. That'll be in the show for a couple of years now.
Okay. So is that a big the way you're saying that, is that a very big aspect to your show? Not just the magic, you equally hold the comedy in as much regard, as much value for people. It's not just doing the magic trick, it's actually making them laugh and entertaining them is equally important.
Yeah. Anyway, we were talking about comedy and magic, and for me, I took a good look at myself. I wasn't very tall. I didn't think I was good looking. I thought I would look stupid producing doves and doing the elegant stuff. And I was a normally, naturally happy, cheeky fella, you know.
Yeah.
So I went that route. And as you might have picked up before, I get it all the time after a show. I didn't know you were going to be that funny. But in the early days, in the working men's clubs and stuff like that, I won all the comedy awards anyway. So
All right.
for me, it's normal.
In those type of environments, that's where, Billy Connolly kind of learned his trade as well. It's quite a tough environment, so you have to really be funny there, yeah?
Yeah.
You have to entertain. So, you never really got kind of famous until your 30s, yeah? Was that when you first got your TV show?
Say that again?
You never... you got into magic when you were 11, but it was until your 30s before you actually got your own show and everything, yeah?
Yeah, well, that's your parents. I was doing magic as a kind of hobby, a semi-pro. But your parents kind of insist you have a proper job, don't you? And so I just meandered into a job and all that. And to make a leap from a really stable job into show business is quite a decision.
Yeah.
So but I looked at it. My first marriage was breaking up, and I thought, if I don't do it now, I never will. And my life since then has just got better and better.
So initially, you were you appeared on Opportunity Knocks. Was that really your first time on British TV?
Yeah, that doesn't do you any good. I was told I was going to come second 3 weeks before the show, you know.
Okay.
I never believe these things where you phone in on any television show.
All right.
Because of that. Because I knew it was set up, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't believe any of them. No, the thing that did me the best was the program called Wheel Tappers and Shunters Club, where the viewers, primetime Saturday TV, they were ostensibly inside a working men's club. And so all the acts that did that would agree. You felt really comfortable because this is where you normally work. The cameras were behind the audience. So you were playing to real people. And the other big difference was that even today, media studies are blissfully unaware, and they put people on for sing one song and you're off. Well, that's not an act. No. That's just you singing one song. You get a comedian, he's told you do 3 minutes. Well, there's nowhere on the planet you do 3 minutes except on television. So you don't have time to develop the act. So I created for Wheel Tappers and Shunters, I created an act they could not edit. I was on screen for 12 minutes, and the next morning I was a star.
All right, so
because they'd never seen a real act before on television.
Okay. Was that the show that Bernard Manning hosted?
Aye, that's it, yeah.
Just wondered what you felt about Bernard Manning. Did you meet him much? He gets a lot of stick, but I think he's
he was a typical club act of the time.
Yeah.
And in some respects, he was ahead of his time in that he was using the so-called bad language and all that,
Yeah.
And in some respects, he was a dinosaur in that he was still doing mother-in-law jokes.
Yeah.
And could be racist and all that, yeah. Then the other contrast with this guy was he was a secret charity worker.
Yeah.
He was a really good guy for charities and that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every time I hear him interviewed, he just says the jokes are just jokes and he's there to entertain people, and you feel like he's got a heart because he does do other things like that he doesn't play up so much.
The truth is, you see, that by making comedy politically correct and by making it anti-sexist, anti-ageist and all that, one of the big advantages of jokes about those things was they made you realize how stupid they were.
Yeah.
You know, they emphasized the stupidity of racism.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. I
Yeah,
mean, they didn't make you racist.
that's right.
So, but now that's gone. So you don't have any lines drawn anymore. It's a
Uh-huh.
shame.
Yeah, so do you think there should be lines in comedy then?
No,
No, I agree. To me, it's the comedian's job to find the line and then cross it. That's what George Carlin said.
exactly. Except there was a group. The name's gone, but there was a great guy from the past said, by all means, cross the line, but don't jump too far.
Yeah, just enough to create
You
that little
know.
bit of uncomfortableness that kind of elicits the laugh, but not.
Yeah, and it's also down to who are you playing to?
Yeah,
Who is your audience? You know,
yeah,
because it's no good effing and blinding if you're doing the Vicar's Tea Party.
exactly. Yeah, I saw you on
And
the.
also, if you're doing some corporate work, a lot of comics make the mistake. They wonder, why didn't I get booked back? They use language in the corporate scene, and in the corporate work, the managing directors and the CEOs sitting there with their wives and their grown children,
Yeah.
and they you can see the hackles going up
Mm-hmm.
when they come across that kind of thing.
So it's very much a case of know your audience then. So do you have a
Yeah,
different kind of?
play the venue. Yeah.
So you have a different kind of style for wherever you go. Like for instance, I watched you on the Mrs. Merton show, and that was a little bit risque, a little bit, just for that kind of audience. And you
Yeah,
play.
well, double entendre and
Yeah.
risque and all that, I don't have any problems with that. And because there's a weird thing here. There's a weird thing. Who was it? Going way back. Jerry Lewis, American
Yeah. I know
film star and TV star and all that. He once had on his telethon, he played the part of Stan Laurel with another fat comic doing Ollie Hardy.
Uh-huh.
And he phoned Stan Laurel straight afterwards. And Stan Laurel said, you were very good, but there was a little hint in the voice. And Jerry said to him, oh, but? He said, well, there was just one thing missing. And he said, what's that? And he says, love. And if you kind of love your audience and the audience loves you, you don't want to upset that balance. And you can say things in a way that if you did them with one accentuation, they would be offensive, and yet another way to say them is they're just fun.
Yeah.
When I'm watching things like The X Factor and the judges are just being bloody rude for the sake of being rude, I always think, well, I wouldn't say that. There's a way to tell this guy, this gal, how to improve without being rude.
Yeah.
I don't like rudeness at all.
I agree. I've got no time for Simon Cowell and the likes of that. It's just rude for the sake of it, really.
Yeah.
And you were on X Factor yourself, yeah? You and Debbie.
That was a charity job, yeah.
And some Let Me Entertain You, I believe.
Well, I'm a member of the Grand Order of Water Rats, which is a show business charity. And you do jobs for charity whenever you can. In fact, right now, I'm working on, when I finish the autumn tour, I've come across this scheme from North America where you fundraise for charities, for schools, and this, that, and the other. And I'm putting that package together now, because I'm 75 now, and it's, although, yes, I've put quite a bit back into this business, I'd like now to just move to doing more of that,
Okay. Yeah, see, you mentioned on your website that there's only certain charities you work with, but you're kind of opening it up to let other people kind of approach you.
Yeah, you cannot work for them all.
Yeah. But
I mean, you'd go bankrupt yourself working for them all.
Yeah.
So years ago, I selected them. Now, what this new scheme will do will I will be teaching them how they can make more money in their events and all that with all this experience I've picked up over the years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So that's on the business side of things. You're going to be kind of influencing them.
Yeah.
You also do some.
Oh,
You also do some motivational work with people, yeah.
yeah, well, with that, you do get businessmen who are very good at their business, but fail to sell themselves. They can't. They lose business by not being positive, by not being. Oh, I don't know how you'd expressing themselves within their own groups.
Uh-huh.
So I teach them show business techniques that enable them to stand up in front of a huge conference and deliver the goods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a problem I've got, is actually promoting myself and trying to make money from doing what I do. It seems to me like it's quite alien, but it's actually, these days you need to have an all-round kind of basis to make money and promote yourself, on Twitter and Facebook, and there's different aspects to it. I had a look at your website, and I really like the fact that you're quite outspoken, and you go on YouTube and you make videos, and you really put your thoughts out there. It's not just to do with your magic. Is that something you've kind of grown into, or is that something you've always done?
That's what people ask me.
All right.
If they ask me about it, I'm not going to tell lies, because my mum says you have to have a damn good memory if you tell lies.
Yep.
So I just tell what I believe. What I've learned, where I've learned it, and it's all about what I know about, just from living as long as I have.
Yeah. I mean, I like the fact that you're quite outspoken on political things as well. If something comes in the news, you'll give your viewpoint about it, and then it's up to other people to enter into a debate about that. But at least you're putting yourself out there. I think that's quite good,
Well, yeah. I mean, because of what I was doing and where I got, I mean, the recent hoo-ha about Maggie Thatcher, for example,
yeah.
I'm sure that the vast majority of people who didn't like Maggie for what she was allegedly doing are speaking from a lack of education or a miseducation, in that and I come from a very strong Labour background, but I did a show in 10 Downing Street, and it was the winter of discontent, and Jim Callaghan came in. He said, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm actually doing better than you." And he said, well, in the last 10 years, this was the 70s, my government has given in to every union demand, and we've priced this country out of the world market. And I'm thinking, hey, man, tell that to the country,
Yeah.
But he didn't, and he was voted out at the next election, and Margaret Thatcher came in, and everybody thinks she was the Iron Lady, and she stood up to the unions.
Yeah.
It was really easy. The country was bankrupt. She had no money. She could not give in to union demands,
Yeah.
So
that
was the strength. That was it.
Yeah. I mean, I always think it's easy to blame somebody else, when something like that. But I think at the end of the day, we all have to take responsibility for our own lives, and it's easy just to make her a figure of hate.
When everybody was going on strike, Mike kept, what are we going to do? What are we going to? And I kept coming out with this phrase. Well, when the buffalo went south, the Red Indians went south to find the food.
Yep.
And just because you've been brought up in one place doesn't mean to say you've got to live there all your life. If there's no food there, in other words, work or whatever, you go where the work is.
Yep, it reminds me of a sketch Sam Kinison done about the Africans, It's a desert, there's no fucking food, Nothing's going to grow, move.
Yeah, but I come from the northeast of England, but having turned pro entertainer, I couldn't live there.
Uh-huh.
The money was all in the south. It was in London.
Yep.
And so I moved to London.
Mm-hmm.
Now I go to New Zealand, Australia, Germany, France, Spain. I go everywhere to earn a living.
Uh-huh. Is that because there's you wouldn't earn enough in the UK, or just because you're getting these offers and you like to travel around?
It's a mixture of both. But the truth of the matter is, right now, that I don't think the UK is being promoted. The live shows are not being promoted at all.
Okay.
People think telly is everything, but it isn't.
Yep.
At no time in my life was the majority of my income from television.
Not even during the heydays of the Paul Daniels show, no?
No, I mean, that was just 10 weeks out of a 52-week year.
Okay, so you would be touring the rest of the time, developing the tricks that you needed for that 10-week period then, I guess.
Well, I never stopped writing. I never did. And I still do. I'm still improving, changing, and trying to make the audiences laugh more. Yeah.
What was it like for you?
And occasionally gasp. I mean, magic's a funny thing. You got to mix it up. Yeah.
Yep, there has to be that element at the end of it. Like I watched the levitation one you done. I don't know when you done it, but you went with the box with the holes in it, and you were cracking the wee jokes in that. But at the end, the trick itself obviously had to be good to get the round of applause. And
yeah. It's got to be a baffler. All right. And I tend to call my live shows, not on the posters, but in my head, I call them going home magic shows. Because while the people are there watching me and Debbie, they should be so entertained that they just they don't have a moment to think, kind of thing. They're just laughing and having a good time. Then on the way home in the car, somebody will say, "I like that trick, if you like, with the box levitation. Hey, hang on, how the hell did he do that?" So it's going home when they start to think, "How the hell could he do that?"
So you're
it's going home magic.
And then they figure it out on the way home. It's quite good. So does Debbie work
with
you?
Then.
Does Debbie work with you still to this day in every tour you do?
Yeah. Except Debbie has her own radio show on Radio Berkshire on Sunday mornings. So, or it depends where the venue is. Saturday night this last weekend, I was way up north near Bridlington. We couldn't have got her home in time to do the show, so she didn't come up for that one.
So you can do it all right without her assistance. She just provide the glamour, yeah?
No, you got that wrong. You see, I'm the glamour. Okay. Now let's get something straight. I did all the clubs for 20 years without assistance, so I'm just as happy. It's great when she's there, but it's great for me. Actually, the audiences really love her, and we have a good laugh on stage and chat with the audience and all that. Yeah.
I seen Debbie, actually, you done that celebrity wife swap, and she was standing in for Vanessa Feltz on the radio. Was that her first experience? Did that give her the thrill to do more?
No, that came along later. That if that was the first thing either of us had done, I think we would never have been in show business.
No, I'm talking about is on radio. I seen her. She was trying to learn the radio ropes because you had to swap with Vanessa Feltz, and she was doing Vanessa Feltz radio program, and she was trying to learn everything. I just wondered if that kind of inspired her to want to do more of that.
No, she was already involved in all that kind of thing by then. Yeah. Me too. I mean, I've done radio stints. The one thing I've never done, which I'd really like to do, is I'd like to be in a film.
All right.
Yeah.
I noticed you have done. You act on theatre from time to time, yeah.
Oh yeah. One has done Molière, dear boy. Yeah. Yes, one has been, but it was again. They were comedy parts, so it's kind of suited me. I usually play, I don't know, drunken gardeners or something.
You played Scrooge sometime, yeah.
Oh yeah. Now I really enjoyed that. That was a straight part, and not the musical. It was a play. And I really enjoyed it. And what happened was quite amazing because I'd never acted really much before. certainly not the lead part.
Oh, that's
And
good.
what was really good was, I think I would be about 6 days into the run, and suddenly, from somewhere, I was Scrooge. I felt I was Scrooge, you know.
Yeah.
My whole personality changed. Mind you, Debbie said I'd been rehearsing the part for years, you know. I mean, coming from Yorkshire. But it was an amazing transformation of me and my persona. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And how long did that run go for? How long did you do that?
Oh, I don't know, about 6 weeks, something
Okay,
like that.
so you were really into it by the end. So
Oh, hell, yeah.
did you take the
Yeah.
acting seriously? Like, did you have acting lessons? How did you go just from?
No,
No.
no, and in fact, it's odd how businesses build on the back of other businesses. So, for example, in the very early days of television, everybody came from theatre. You know, the directors, the producers, and all that came from show business. And then somebody thought, oh, we should set up media schools. Well, the people who are teaching them nowadays have never made a program,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And in the early days of cinema, the great actors like the Bogart, Humphrey Bogart, and Cagney, and all those guys, they never went to an acting school,
Mm-hmm.
and they made great movies
Yeah.
because they could feel what the audience wanted them to be, you know, and they could feel it, and they just became great actors. It's odd and it's peculiar, I know, but those that have gone to the media schools and the colleges and all that, I just don't think they're as good.
Uh-huh. I think that
Yeah,
maybe they get the natural instinct kind of gets trained out of them somehow. Maybe.
yeah, it's been trained out of them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's comedy classes these days, you know, and everything's comedy by numbers. Really, it's not the genuine person's natural thing so much.
Well,
It becomes formulaic.
I see that all the time. I mean, I watch a comic, and they'll start to recite jokes that we were doing 20 years ago. There's nothing of today in them at all, and I'm thinking, well, this is just, you know, some kids learn to poem,
Yeah.
and he's standing there reciting the jokes, and they're putting nothing of themselves into it.
Yeah. That's
I'm
true.
just
Yeah.
looking at my new business card here. It's very. Somebody sent me a business card. Do I want these business cards? You know, and it says a legend in his own lunchtime, and down the left side it says wars fought, revolutions started, alligators castrated, governments run, and a babysitting service. I quite like that. Yeah.
I'm
But
sure.
I'm from
I'm sure you
Yorkshire.
don't
I
need to
won't be
hand
buying
out
them.
business cards anyway.
Sorry, what?
I'm not. I don't think you'll need to hand out too many business cards. You're obviously. Do you still get approached to do lots of things?
Yeah, but you see, I'm always time. But my favourite all-time business card was from my good friend Graham Reed, my longest friend, and he had a business card. He was in the business, and he had a business card printed on sandpaper. And on the front it said, "If you think this is rough, wait till you see my act."
That's a good one. That's creative, that one, yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I really like that. I used to have business cards when I was doing the working men's clubs that were printed up with "recently stared at the London Palladium," because I knew they couldn't spell, and they'd think I was starring there.
All right. I was going to ask
Here,
you. Carry on.
do you know what this is? Do you know what this is? 001 202 456 1414.
No, I don't.
It's Barack Obama's phone number.
Is it?
For real.
All
For
right.
real.
Oh, well, maybe give him a call. Tell him to sort some
Give
shit
him a
out.
ring. Give him a ring.
I was going to ask, you know, once you started going on primetime TV, you must have had a bit of a change of your lifestyle from, you know, working man's clubs to becoming, you know, a national celebrity, because obviously you've achieved a level of fame that not many people these days do because there's so many different TV channels and whatever, internet. So in the 70s and 80s, 4 channels on TV,
Well,
you know.
they talk now about not getting the big figures because there are so many TV channels. But I tend to disagree. I think if you were to put on one of the things that media studies is blissfully unaware of, and so you don't get it anymore, if your program is on at exactly the same time every week, the audiences will grow because they know you're there, they will find you, they will watch you. Now, if you, and the media studies now, they teach demographics. So you are aiming your program only at 18 to 25-year-olds.
Yeah.
So, of course, you have a reduced audience because of that.
Yeah.
And then, but we didn't. What we did was we made television shows, and from 3-year-olds to grannies watched it.
Yep. Morgan and Wise and yourself and all those other great shows.
Yeah, same time every week. And so, but nowadays, we must take that program off now. There's a football match on.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, you just don't do that. Not if you want to maintain high viewing figures. And so it's a very strange, changed world. It's not the fact that there's a great range of channels, because if you look across the channels, there's bugger all you want to watch on them.
Yep. So if you have a good quality program for all the family, put it on the same time every week, then you trust it's going to build. But no one does that anymore.
Yeah, well, there's a great byline that I just picked up off an American show. He says, "This is not a children's show; it's a family show." And so it's not childish, it's not silly, it's just for everybody. And sometimes I have to say the so-called adult shows, I find them a bit childish. You know? That's only me.
Yep.
Do I care? No, I'm in board.
Yeah. Well, I get a feeling though you've got a lot of experience and ideas there that you kind of you're frustrated with, that the business or whatever's changing and they're losing out on some stuff that you hold in high regard. Would you say that? Is that just the way of the world, I guess?
No, I'm not frustrated by anything because I just go out and do what I want to do.
Yeah.
I just feel sometimes sorry for the public. I mean, they keep on to me all the time. You know, are you coming back on telly? You're going to make shows? I actually don't want to.
I read you were quite relieved when you got your show cancelled in 1995 or something. It was a bit of pressure.
The great weight went off. Yeah, I mean, to create new material day in, day out, day in, day out. It really is. It takes it out of you. You know, you are under pressure all the time. Yeah. Now I'm having fun playing with my toys and getting paid for it.
Yep, sounds good.
Would I do a special? Yes, I would. No if on that. I would like to do a special just to put in the things I wanted to do that I never got round to do it. You know.
The kind of best of the last 10 years or something.
Yeah, that's it.
What was it like?
Any road up. I have to move on because I have to go and visit my aged mother, who I promised to go and see.
Oh yeah, how's she doing? I heard she wasn't keeping too well. She doing okay?
Yeah, she's doing all right, but she's 97 in August, you know.
Yep.
And I've been away now for a few weeks, and so I said, "Mom, I'm coming to see you." And
okay.
So I'll have to love you and leave you.
Yeah, you've been very kind for giving me your time. I appreciate that very much.
And so you should. Just send the money.
I'll get the guy who runs the website to do that. I'm a serf. I don't earn anything from it either.
You take care, lad.
Same to you, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.